Should probably change shirts for this one. Other yellow hat guy here, back with another video. Let's get right into it. Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, you may not want to watch this. By this, I mean also this video. You may want to go see Avengers Endgame and then revisit Spider-Man Homecoming and then see this video if you care to. With that out of the way, spoilers, there will be spoilers in this. So maybe wait till Monday after the weekend to watch this. I won't be offended. Come back when you can. I just want to get my first thoughts fresh out when I can, because that's the raw emotion and everything. So that said, what was really going on with this movie? Well, I was alluding to the fact that this continues off with stuff that happened in Avengers Endgame. You know, Tony Stark sacrificed himself for the greater good of the universe, or at least this universe that all these Avengers and characters, and I guess we are living in. It jumped right into the aftermath of how the world reacted, at least from some of these bloggers or influencers that are in this universe, how they are in this Earth timeline, whatever you want to call it. Reacted to it. So that the snapping, the decimation, whatever you want to call it, I think they may have had their own term, these blogger guys, but it reacted to how people were, for however long they were gone. So the first thing Peter wants to do is go on a vacation. Now, two things that were still take time for me to adjust to is Marissa Tomei being Aunt May. She's her own character. She's her own version of Aunt May, so I appreciate it, but it's just so weird knowing that Aunt May, is this timeless, ageless wonder. Marissa Tomei ages like fine wine. Still to this day, it's like, woof. But that's not for this video. What is for this video is this. She knows he's Spider-Man, so I kind of forgot about all of that. It's one of those things where you're like, was it really that important that she knew? And is she going to keep bringing it up? Should she be upset with him? No, she embraces it. Like, hey, first couple of scenes, it's like, hey, why don't you go out here and do PR? And he's just awkward. Peter's just like, hey y'all, I'm Spider-Man. He doesn't really even know how to deal with the fame. And he still has that Catholic guilt that they have used for so many years to get you to empathize with the character of, hey, Tony would still be here if things were done, differently. So that said, he's like, I need a vacation. And so he goes. Him and, his classmates, they all go on a vacation. They're out in Europe. And Peter wants to leave the costume behind and really just take a break. But Aunt May is like, hey, you forgot this. So when you see those trailers and you're like, wait a minute, he's got different costumes, but we see him leave his costume on purpose. How does he get this, costume? Well, there you have it. So I'm not going to give too much of the movie away. Avengers Endgame, I was super psyched for that, having, to wait over a year, or maybe about a year, for that to drop. So I just said everything. What I will say is, you've got Mysterio, and if you read the comics, you were already clued into what was going on here. There's no way this guy can be a good guy. This has to be a red herring. I mean, it's one of those, are they going to pull off a Mandarin from Iron Man 3? They didn't do us like that. What they did was give a more modern take on Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal did a fantastic job as the villain. He did. Villain, yes, he was the villain. How it is Mysterio is not just Quentin Beck in this costume. So what this movie is protecting the legacy of Tony Stark, upholding it. That's what Peter is reluctantly doing, whether he really realizes it or not. And eventually he does, because what's going on here is, Mysterio is passing himself off as this hero. He's showing up at the right time. You're looking at some of these illusions as if they were the Sinister Six, possibly. And maybe that's where that stems from, like, Hydro Man and some kind of fire thing. I don't know. That's what I was thinking when I see the water type creatures. Like, hey, that's Hydro Man. Nope, that's there to throw you off. Sorry. But Jake did a great job really embracing this character, embodying it, and giving his own kind of, not so much woe is me type, but like, hey, it was like a political thing. Like he was some kind of, like he was running for some kind of political office. That's what it felt like, his ambition and his just bravado and the way he was speaking to some of these other employers, or previous employers, excuse me. So it resonated in that regard. Fun fact, he was in the running to, play Spider-Man. Like he was, almost cast as him before Tobey got that role, believe it or not. At least somebody fact check me if that's true. So anyway, what was great, Ned, his character was the comic relief, because the whole premise of this vacation for them is, hey, let's go meet some girls in Europe. It has that whole kind of Revenge of the Nerds type vibe where they're like, hey, let's make a, fun teenage thing out of this. So, you have that part of Peter and some of his friends, and then you have the other part, which is the reluctant hero and trying to figure out my place in this new world that I was gone for a little bit. So they did a great job with the CGI. Those illusions were just... There was one that was really disturbing. It was a zombie Iron Man, where Mysterio's like, hey, it's your fault that Tony's dead. If it wasn't for you, he'd still be here. And a zombie Iron Man comes out of the grave and is attacking Peter. And Peter, his spider sense or Peter tingle isn't working because stuff really isn't happening to him. It's kind of like you're seeing things that aren't there. Well, that's exactly what it is, but, Mysterio's got all this tech, and it's revealed that, like I said earlier, he was also one of these disgruntled employees who was fired by Stark. So in Captain America Civil War, you see Tony has these glasses that can kind of, let him re-see or relive older events and things like that. Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, is who created that. And I guess Iron Man didn't like how it was going, or Tony didn't like how that was going and let him go. And so he's bitter about that. So they trick Peter into thinking, hey, I'm a good guy. And, he really doesn't want to hurt Peter because he knows who he is. Like, it was weird to see Nick Fury contact Peter and let him know, hey, we're working with Mysterio. He's a good guy. He's the hero. They're all, revealing each other's faces and gaining each other's trust. And he tells them, hey, I'm from a different multiverse or a different universe and everything. And one thing that Nick Fury says to him is, hey, he's from a different Earth, just not yours. Which we're going to come back to that towards the end of this video, why that's important. Pay attention to that wording when you see that movie, or at least maybe you will on your own. Because there was some kerfuffle about the posters that were made. It's like, hey, eye patch is here, or is it here? What's going on? So, the scenes, the choreography were good. I like Tom Holland. You got to see the Spider-Man Noir outfit and a couple of outfits, the Iron Spider, all of that. It was just really good. There's some romances that are surprises, sort of. I won't really delve too much into that. I'll let you enjoy that for yourself in the movie. But eventually, Mary Jane finds out that Peter's Spider-Man. She puts two and two together, and then when this happens, Peter realizes that if she was able to figure out he's Spider-Man and what's going on based off of the clues that she gave him about the webbing and all the things that he tried to throw back at her to throw her off the scent of him being Spider-Man, he realized he was being had and that these things were illusions that Mysterio was doing to get him out of the picture. And so, you know, they kind of work together to a degree to set things right and stop Mysterio. So Peter realizes what the illusions are, what aren't, and, you know, saves the day. So that said, what was the biggest takeaway of this movie? The biggest takeaway is, again, Avengers Endgame is supposed to be the bookend, or at least that's what it was sold as. But no, there are two end credit scenes, or excuse me, there's two scenes. One that's a mid-credit, and one that's a post. So that means stay after the credits. You want to see in the middle, and then you want to stay to the very end when they roll to see the last one. Now the first one is not super important, but it was just cool because it's like, how did they keep this a secret without anybody leaking it? What it is this. If you remember the first Spider-Man series that was out through Marvel, it had J.K. Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson. Who's that? The newspaper guy. Give me those pictures! You're fired! It's got the cigar, all that. He returns, and it's awesome because he was perfect for that character. Perfect. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it looks like he's back, but in a different kind of role. He's kind of like a blogger or one of these conspiracy theory dudes, you know. Change my mind. He's filming Spider-Man and coming up with his own version of why he's a bad guy. So I don't think they're doing the newspaper route because people don't really read newspapers anymore. They don't, right? I just saw something saying Mad Magazine is going away too, so I digress. He saw what Mysterio left behind, which was a faked version of Peter Parker doing all the illusions and being the menace and all of that. So he took that and he's believing it to be true, and it's revealed to the whole world that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward because they already did Civil War. They shouldn't do One More Day. Please don't do One More Day. They're not even married, so no need to mess with Zendaya and Tom and have them get all in their feelings for each other to a degree of, you know, lovey-dovey. No, leave them like they are and don't try to push it any other way. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Doctor Strange can do some magic and remove... Or, you know, who knows? I'm speculating at this point, but it was a nice Easter egg callback / you know, shock to see all of that there. But how does that move Phase 4 forward? Well, the last credit scene is this. Nick Fury, it's revealed that it wasn't Nick Fury in this movie at all. It were the Skrulls that were Maria Hill and Nick Fury. So that whole eye patch thing and the comment I made about he's from Earth, just not yours. I'm paraphrasing maybe. It's because he should have said he's not from our Earth. He's not from ours. He said yours because he was thinking who he was and not who he was visually displaying himself as. You know, the Skrulls are shapeshifters. So what does that mean? That means, well, where's the real Nick Fury? He was on a beach, or at least he thought he was, or he wanted you to think that Mysterio, it's just, basically, he was aware of what was going on and played along with it, and he's out in space. So you've got S.H.I.E.L.D. that protects Earth, and you've got S.W.O.R.D. that deals with intergalactical threats, and that's basically hinting at Nick being aware of something bigger happening, and maybe he'll recruit the new Avengers and the next, you know, film that's coming out, whenever that decides to come out, and we'll go from there. So, as for what I thought of the movie overall, I thought it was good. It was better than Homecoming, but at the same time, I felt like Did they really sell me on Mysterio? They did. They did a great job. They kept the costume intact and everything, and the motives were, everything wasn't campy like the comics were. So they did their own thing. You got people who, they're on that, well, that ain't my Mary Jane. But Zendaya, just like Aunt May, Marissa Tomei, see how that rhymed, they're their own characters, really. So just kind of appreciate them as they are. It's kind of like the ultimate universe, hey, excuse me, this person is by name this character, but they kind of have their own style. And do you really want Kirsten Dunst, even though she got the red hair and everything? Do you really want that acting? No bueno. I'll take Zendaya any day over that. And she's her own character that just happens to be called Mary Jane, so that's cool. I loved, the Ned's humor. He was the comic relief. I said that. And it was just a feel-good movie. It was good. Is it better than Spider-Man 2? It's kind of hard. I may have to rewatch it again. You've got Kirsten Dunst that I'll have to subject myself to, but Tom Holland, there's hands down is the best Peter Parker, and he's right up there. Spider-Man, if he's not the best, he's the best of both, if anything. So that said, my final rating for this movie right now is 4 Earthworm Gems out of 5. Captain Sensation!